right, we're at it again. Hello everyone, this is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to episode, this is the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues episode number 21 with Erik Paulson, and you know, he's a really busy guy, so let's see, ready, I'm waiting, and we'll get this show on the road. This is a really important one for me. Erik is one of my Jeet Kune Do heroes, and okay, so he's here, and the technology is trying to connect the two of us, and 5, 4, 3, 2. It's trying to do something.
You're frozen.
I'm already frozen.
No. I mean, I'm not getting any sound.
No. Okay.
Oh, there
You're
it is.
good now.
Yeah. So am I going to do this over the phone?
Yeah. Right now, this is the best way. Does your phone have battery?
Let's see. I want to make sure. That should be good.
All right. Okay. All right. So I got to do my official, well, no, I did my official intro. Let's just get to this. All right. Let me ask you this. Why do bad things happen to people?
It's called karma.
That's
Karma. It's karmic. Not karmic. Karma.
always karma.
So you have
Yeah.
karma, and then you have karmic.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to get a good
All right.
angle. You have karma, and
Okay.
karmic. Karma is what you've done in this life. Karmic is what you've done in
All
your
right.
past.
See, the reason why I ask you that is because I think the people who know you well know that you are a man of the universe. But there might be people on the program with us today who are not as aware of that that side of you, right? So by the time we're done, I hope to have given everybody a deeper insight into who and what is Erik Paulson. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, with
Huh?
me it is.
All right.
With
okay.
me it is.
So I had written an introduction here that said that you're to me you're a guy who defies description because you epitomize well-roundedness, right? But here's my claim, people. This is my claim to connection with the famous Erik Paulson. It was at my Inasano seminar in 1997. It was actually Erik who announced that I had been promoted to full instructor, and it was Erik who handed me my certificates for Jeet Kune Do and Kali. So that's my connection to Erik Paulson fame.
What? Wow. Guru gave me those to give to you. Hey, sorry. So Guru gave me those to give to you,
Yeah.
right? Hold on. Come here. Come here. Tanya, can you get them? I'm
Who's
already
that
on.
that wants to be in the video?
Sorry. This is Tanya.
Hey.
Sorry.
Fine. All right. So listen.
My dog's a show hog.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. My dog is out of control. Okay. Sorry. Oh, so
All right.
yeah, so Guru basically gave me your certificates. I'm just trying to see how I can prop this up here.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought I was going to do it on my computer. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Rob Doley did it using an iPad, but I don't know how to do iPhone to iPad. So we'll take whatever we can get. You still look good.
Yeah. Got the GF factor, good from far and far from good.
So listen, I got to tell you something else about Inasano. Are you aware that on seminar, when he talks about you, he refers to you as one genius?
No, but I usually tip him when I hear stuff like that. I usually give him a good
Okay.
tip or a bribe.
All right. Do you have any idea why he might think that?
No, I used to sit next to him on the airplanes, and we used to just talk about normal things. We didn't really talk about martial arts so much because he's so absorbed in martial arts that who really gets to talk to Guru Dan about Guru Dan and about life situations. So I would just sit and talk to him regularly about just normal things. And we would always laugh because Simo used to, every time a cute girl would walk by, Simo would elbow Guru in the ribs, if he was looking or not. And same with Salim. And it's funny because every time a cute girl would walk by on the airplane when I travel with him, I'd always elbow him, or he'd actually elbow me sometimes. It's funny.
And you traveled with him during what period? Do you remember?
90s. Yeah. You know what's funny was traveling with Guru. I used to always, we'd be talking and he'd fall asleep in mid conversation, and then I would, when he'd wake up, I would pretend like I was at the end of the story. And I was like saying some heart-wrenching things that really hit home, and I was like, so anyways, when I was 10, like I was saying earlier, when I was 10, and I was like crying. I was faking.
That happened to me with Chai.
Oh yeah, but he resumes conversation right where he left off. Like he falls asleep and he goes, so anyways.
Yeah, but that freaked me out because I looked over and I realized he had dozed off. And, you know, I remember Simo Paula saying to me one time, she goes, look, the best thing you can do when you bring them in for a seminar is feed them and put them to bed. You know?
Oh, yeah. That's pretty true.
So,
Guru likes his downtime. Like what I just was at Red Deer University with him and Ajahn and Sifu Fong, and Guru, it was so funny. We went to dinner and Guru goes, okay, this is where the old guys leave the young guys. And a lot of the guys were going to go. It was like Joel and Levon and Teddy and Kevin. And they were all going to go have a beer and sit down at the bar. There was a restaurant with a bar and they're going to go talk and hang out. And Guru goes, I'm going to bed. But he didn't go to bed. I went up to his room. I forget. I think he needed something. So I knocked it, and I go, what are you doing, Guru? He goes, I'm doing research. And I go, really? Still? I go, you're still doing it? He goes, oh yeah, you can never learn enough, Eric. It just goes to show, you know, I was like, well, what are you researching? And he's like, well, so I turned on the History Channel and Ancient Aliens was on, and he was listening. It was good because it was talking about the old Earth, but the modern technology, how they were really far advanced. Back in the old days, they were more advanced than we are today. You know, they had the Atlantean times. They had tons of stuff that were high technology that we probably wouldn't even understand right now. But he was like, he was interested because, you know, he was like a history major, and he was just listening to what they were saying, and it all made sense to him. And so he's like, well, it's a good show. But he was also studying wrestling, all of his wrestling moves. He does privates with Kenny Johnson. And then he's got all of his jiu-jitsu privates videotaped, and he just watches all of them. And he has Cambodian kickboxing that he's doing, you know, 15 rounds a day with his coach. Hitting pads and lightly sparring, and he's actually watching all of his video footage. Which to me is interesting.
On that note of technology, confirm this for me. Is it true that we are, with present day technology, we are unable to reproduce the Great Pyramid of Giza? Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. You know, it was created. So sorry, my back's hurting. It was created, I believe. I actually have dreams about it. Sorry. Um, they had a technology. It was a sound technology that created levitation to the point where you could move a stone. It would slide over the
Yeah.
ground. It would create like a field around the rock, and it would slide.
Yeah.
It would slide by the push of a finger. You know, a 10-ton block. So they had, I think it was like a sound technology, like a sound machine. Can you hear me?
You're starting to break up. So usually
Wow.
there's a slight delay on this thing always. So
Okay.
but if it gets real
Whew,
bad,
sorry, I'm probably getting everyone. What's that?
if it gets real bad, then we have an option. It's just that we won't be live in front of all your fans.
Your fans.
Yeah, right. So listen, I
It's your-
suspect, did you reach out to Mr. Fay on my behalf? Okay, I just lost the feed for Eric, guys. So give me a second, and I'll try to get him back. Okay, hang on one sec. I'm pretty sure it's his internet and not mine. So give me a sec. But yeah, guys, keep hitting the thumbs up and the like buttons and what have you. And hold on. Sorry this happened. I'll wait for him to show up in my display again, and then I'll try to get him back. And everything was going so well. Just give me a sec. Okay, take 3. Hey, he's in Hollywood, so you know, on camera, off camera stuff is common. Hey, Wayne. Okay, take 3. Most times, take 3 is successful. Okay, I know you're not in the movies anymore, but I was just telling everybody that usually take 3 is successful with this Facebook Live.
What's that?
Okay, did you hear any of that?
Yeah, it's still kind of pinging.
Yeah.
It's still, there's a little bit of a delay.
That's normal, as they say. All right, so you
Okay.
tell me if you want to or is this good enough for you, or you want to do it off camera?
If it doesn't keep pausing, I think people are going to get frustrated if it keeps pausing.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right. Well, it's if you can hear me, I can hear you, I can see you pretty well, so everybody should be okay with this. All right, but if it messes up, if it sticks, so if I stick, or if Eric's feed sticks, somebody just send me a message in the comment, and we'll go from there. All right, so I was we were talking about Sifu and Asano referring to you as a genius and whatever, but I gotta ask you, do you possess what do they call it, the eidetic memory? Or do you have to write stuff down and what have you, or do you just get it like this?
When I see stuff, I can remember things pretty well. I record things very well, and especially when I write them down, they get ingrained in my head, and then I can remember. I just have to like directions. If I watch somebody do something, I could pretty much repeat it.
Did you have to cultivate that, or were you born with that?
I watch very closely and pay attention to details. I've always been like that ever since I was in school, the same way. But I had a problem reading and retaining information with things that I wasn't interested in.
Right.
So when we
Yeah.
had to read books, I would read a book and I was reading going, I'm not taking any of this in because it was not interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read stuff that's interesting, it's easy for me to retain it,
Yeah.
which is kind of odd.
Okay. Yeah. When you first, so I have 4 pages of questions for you. So I'm just gonna pull stuff from all over the place as it comes to mind. So would you agree there are at least 4 etheric bodies: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual? Would you agree with that?
100%. There's actually more. There's more bodies than
Right.
that, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what did you do in the early days to develop physically?
I played sports. I played sports ever since I was a little kid. A lot of them I was never really good at, but I still played. I played football, hockey, baseball, soccer, and then I remember when our team, if let's say I didn't get to play, I
Yeah.
sat on the bench, or I didn't get to skate, or I didn't get to play, and our team lost. I remember the coach saying, "You guys suck. You guys are losers. You guys." I'm like, "I'm not a loser because I didn't get to play." And he goes, "Well, you're on the team, so you're a loser. We lost." I
Yeah.
go, "Well, give me a chance to play, and maybe I won't be a loser." And that's, there's like, well, the thing is like, obviously, if I'm on the bench, there's a reason why you're on the bench, and
Mhm.
most of it. For hockey, I used to fight all the time. For football and baseball, sometimes they used to use guys more frequently because their brothers were future athletes, years or grades ahead of you, and so the
Yeah.
coaches would use, some of the more popular or famous kids due to their all-star brothers.
Right. Okay. So is
So what
that what?
happened is I got into gymnastics. First of all, I got into judo. My mom just said, "Hey, you want to do another sport?" And I said, "Mom, I'm doing football, I'm doing baseball, I'm playing hockey." I go, what else could I do? And she goes, "You want to try judo?" And I was like, she goes, "It might be good for you. It's an individual sport, it's just you."
Right. Right.
So when I went to the place, to the school, and I went there to learn, the judoka, the head teacher goes, the sensei goes, "Okay, I need a volunteer." And I was like, me, use me. Because I was brave. And he goes, "Okay,
Yeah.
today we're going to learn the significance of break falls." And
Okay.
he threw me so hard, and I hit the mat, and he knocked the wind out of me. I was in 4th grade. And
Right.
this is how I decided that I was actually a comedian, because when I hit the ground, I was laying there, and he goes, "Okay, get up." And I go, I can't breathe." And he goes, "Well, you can obviously breathe because you're talking." And I go, "I can't move." And so everyone's clapping, and they go, "Do it again, do it again." So that's how I knew that slapstick comedy was kind of my shtick. Jump on your head, do
Yeah.
a Popeye dive on the cement, and make everyone laugh.
Yeah.
So I got into judo, and
So
then in
that
8th grade,
whole
8th grade, I got into gymnastics.
okay. All right. Okay. So you fell out there for a second, but that's okay, because I wanted to ask you about, was that whole team thing, and you're having to shoulder some of the blame or responsibility for the team, that helped to drive you towards the individual responsibility of let's call it single person competitiveness?
Well, the reason I got into that was because of the fact that
All
I
right.
wanted to
So
prove myself. And thought, you know what? I want to be responsible for
shoot.
my actions. Did it break off?
Yeah, it's breaking up again, and we got almost 40 people live with us. So let's put it a little bit, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I got
yeah,
it.
we'll
I
just
got
have
it.
to deal with a few seconds.
Well, the individual sports I get into because of the fact that when our teams would lose, I wanted to be responsible for my actions. So I played
Right.
I played again judo, and then I played gymnastics. I was a gymnast. I got into gymnastics in 8th grade, and
Right.
it was great, and I fell in love with it. And I also was continuing to do karate at the time and boxing. Golden Gloves boxing I started in 7th grade. I'm sorry, 8th grade. I started 8th grade. I started Golden Gloves boxing at Fred Moore Junior High. My dad said, that karate stuff, you'll kill somebody with that. He goes, you got to learn a real sport like boxing. Now that's a real martial art. Boxing, that's a real way to fight. That other stuff is dirty. You'll kill somebody with it.
Yeah.
And so so what I did, my brother and I, we bought boxing gloves for Christmas. And that was fun because I got the whole neighborhood to join in, and everyone would come over and we'd just beat the living crap out of each other. And then after school, we would make a boxing ring in our friend's backyard, and then we would all just go at it. And we just have boxing matches. No headgear, just gloves, no mouthpieces. We just beat each other up.
Yeah.
But I like the combative stuff. I like to compete.
You're starting. Yeah, you're starting to break up again. So, I hate to do this. I mean, we've got now 45 people, so the crowd has been growing, and I really hate doing this to everybody. But let's break this off and do it off camera, just the two of us, and then I'll put it up. I won't go to bed tonight until the entire thing is downloaded. I'll stitch take 1 and take 2 together with what we do on Zoom US, and then I'll put up everything so everybody will be able to see you before tonight. But let's break this off now, and I'll send you a link for Zoom US. Guys, I apologize. I mean, I really wanted to pull this one off because I knew that so many of you would log in to be with Erik the Man. So my apologies, but we got some initial good stuff from him. I'll try to pull and extract as much of it as I can while he and I are off camera, and then I promise you, I'm not going to bed tonight until I put it up on Facebook Live. So thanks for hanging out this time with us, and I'll see you around next time. So remember, Friday, hopefully with good technology, is Greg Nelson, another of our famous Minnesotans, and then on Monday will be Rick Fay. And I tell you, these three, being able to dialogue with these three, when you guys watch all the recordings of this, you'll have such a wonderful time. All right, so everybody, thanks for logging in, thanks for being patient, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, hello?
See?
You there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Is this better for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only problem with the Facebook Live is that when it doesn't work, it just does not work.
I agree there.
But
I concur.
All right. So like I told them, I'll stitch all of this together. So you tell me, you ready to go?
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
All right. So we talked just now about physical. Oh, you know what? When it comes to the physical thing, so you have experience with catch wrestling and what have you. Carl Gotch and those guys were big body weight exercisers. Were you ever into that, or were you more traditional in the weight room?
Both. You know, it's funny. I just created a video. I'm done filming it. It's called Combat Athletics. And what it is, it's gymnastics. It's all the strength and conditioning exercises on each piece of equipment: high bar, rings, horse, floor, trampoline, and tumbling. And it's all the strength and conditioning exercises plus tumbling routines that any martial artist can implement into any part of their martial arts curriculum. Okay. It's also got strength body exercises where we do push-ups on each other, pull-ups, stomach exercises, leg exercises, calves. Yeah. And a lot of that's old school. We do a lot of neck conditioning, bridging. We have a whole thing on bridging. Also running warm-ups, all the different running warm-ups, walk stretches. Yeah. And then we go into fight practice. We do all the foot speed exercises, hand speed exercises, wall running, the motion master, the ground movement. It's like capoeira on the motion master. But anyways, I just finished it. So my friend's actually editing it now, and it should be out this fall. It's called Combat Athletics. It's probably going to be about 3 or 4 DVDs.
You know, when I was researching for this, I went back through as many of your videos and DVDs as I could find, you know, and man, there's a tremendous, do you even remember the Best Defense series?
Yeah. It was originally created for the instructors because that was their curriculum, that they needed to know how to defend takedowns, single legs, double legs, how to defend the arm bar, how to defend the triangle choke, the guillotine choke, the knee bars, the ankle locks. It was weird because it was actually created for instructors because they were the ones that were teaching and needed this information.
I gotta tell you a story. Oh no, let me ask you a question. So I read that you went out to LA for movies, so to speak, right? And I find it interesting that you, Chad Stahelski, and Ron Balicki, 3 of you who competed in Japan, the 2 of them are in movies, and you stayed in competition.
Yeah, frustrating.
I never heard of them moving to LA for movies.
Yeah, well, what happened is, so I was doing movies probably, I'm pretty sure, like Chad said, it's not true, but I think it is true. I actually worked on American Ninja 5. I was working, I went in as an assistant to David Bradley, who's the lead actor. And that was like early 90s, like really early 90s, like maybe 1990, 91, maybe, you know, really early.
Yeah.
And so anyways, Chad got into stunts and movies. Ron wasn't even in LA. Chad and I were training each other to fight. Well, it was funny because when I went to the movie, I was with Tadashi Yamashita, Tadashi, and James Liu. You know all those guys. Yeah. And then David Bradley and Spike Silver and Hubie Kearns were the stunt guys. Spike Silver was Mel Gibson's stunt double. Right. Hubie Kearns fell out of as a little child, he fell out of a third or fourth story building, landed on his head, and lived. And that's how he figured out he was a stunt man. But I mean, just got in with all these really cool guys. Yeah. But before I got into that, I originally moved to LA for modeling and acting. Right. And I started modeling, and I just got hit on by every single guy. And everyone was trying to hit on me, and I was like, man, this is, you know, sorry, I'm straight. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe it. It was like I kept getting hit on, so I got into acting. I'm taking acting class, and then all of a sudden I got hit on in acting, and I was like, what the hell? You know, that's why it was good that I put some weight on, because I became less attractive.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
Yeah.
So now we've talked about physical stuff. Going back to that idea of etheric bodies, emotional development, emotional training, what would be your tips or your advice on that?
Or to develop your emotional content?
Yeah, emotional intelligence, I guess.
Well, first of all, I think if you have to meditate, you've got to get into your heart. And if you live through your heart, everything that comes out of you is truth, because it's coming out of your heartfelt things. A lot of people are superficial because they're not in their heart. So when they're saying stuff, you could tell that they're talking out their ass, because you could tell what their words are that they're saying aren't coming out of their heart. They're not heartfelt. And truth comes out of your heart usually.
Right.
What comes out of your mouth comes from your heart. So if all you do is talk negatively and say swear words all the time, and you swear like a sailor, that's coming out of your heart. So obviously there's something that's edgy in you that's creating this, whatever it is, to maybe talk nasty, to cut people down,
Yeah,
to lie, to swear.
Why do people think that that's cool? That type of behavior is cool?
Well, it's funny. They did a study and they said that more people are apt to listen to somebody that swears a lot more than they are to talk to somebody that doesn't swear. And more people are apt to follow and listen to a coach that swears as opposed to doesn't swear. For some reason, it hits home for a lot of people.
Interesting. I mean, I just sometimes find that, like, I notice, watching some people, like, during their interviews and what have you, that it just seems to be, it's so commonplace now to use vulgar language, like it's accepted and acceptable in current, let's call it current society or something. But anyhow, okay, so mental energy. Huh?
I had a talk last night with a parent, one of my students, this little kid, his dad said he didn't swear till he was in his 30s, and his dad told him that if he ever heard him say that word again, he was going to kick his ass. And I was like, wow, I opened my mouth when I was a little kid because I said the F word. My mom caught me, and all I remember is tasting that bar of soap.
Yeah.
More kids were made to eat soap. I think that there would be a little bit less swearing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people today, a lot of parents, they swear in front of their kids all the time, like it's no big deal.
Yeah, that I've
so
noticed.
what happens is,
Yeah.
You got a kid, the parents act like they're surprised, and they see a little 2-year-old go fuck, and they're like, oh, that's so cute. Oh my God, I can't. Yeah, monkey see, monkey do. Right? Monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
You listen to your parents talk, you listen to the people around you talk, and then you copy and mimic.
Yeah.
So you know what? Listen, as long as the intention on when you're swearing isn't bad, some people swear because it's just part of their vocabulary.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the way they talk. But you don't have to swear to get your point across. I mean, sometimes I swear when I get angry and I really want to say something, I'll use the F word, but most of the time I try to steer clear of it.
Yeah.
I don't. So they said, like, in the old days, in the Old Testament, they said that what you put in your body defiles you. So they eat only food that's been blessed, that's been bought in certain markets. So the food was kosher. And they said that it was not right to eat this and eat that. Don't eat pork. Don't eat. So they're saying what you put in your body defiles you. So again, I had a discussion with another guy. His name was Daniel O'Hara, and he was talking about the food that you put in your body, how it defiles you. But then when Jesus came to earth, he said, it's not what you put in your body defiles you. It's what comes out of your body defiles you. So it's the evil that we have in our hearts that comes out of us that we form as an action, that's what defiles us.
Yeah. So intention
I
is
think
of extreme importance then.
Yeah. I'm still talking. I'm going to step off screen. I'm going to grab a book because it's got all these different bodies we're talking about.
Okay.
Just right here. Okay. So keep going. Keep
Okay.
talking.
Yeah. All right. Well, so what do I keep going? But see, one of the reasons why this is similar to something I did with one of my other dialogue partners in the show is that, you know, we yes, this is a program about Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, but the idea that Jeet Kune Do and the people involved in Jeet Kune Do, that all we are is just physical beings, and so it's just, you know, what's the physical technique and what have you. Yeah, that only goes so far. But Jeet Kune Do, if you really understand it, is about being well-rounded. So with my dialogue partners, sometimes what I like to do is to delve into the other aspects of their personalities, right? So that everybody who sees the show, they get to understand that there's more to these people than just, you know, what they, you know, how they kick and punch and in Erik's case do everything. Because like in when we were on Facebook first talking, I reminded him, well, actually I alerted him to the fact that Dan Inosanto refers to him as being one genius. And I remember one time hearing, I think it was Josh Barnett, right? And Josh Barnett was saying that about Erik, that Erik could do this and this and this and this in empty hands, and then he could show you like infinite variations on what he just did, and then he could do the whole thing again with a weapon in his hand, right? So okay, I was just I was filling in while you were gone.
Thank you. But you know, I have a super creative mind.
Yeah.
And again, I tap, when I do stuff, I tap into the universe, and I think it's called cosmic consciousness. And I think a lot of information, when you're open, it just channels and flows through you. So like the information just comes out, and I get all these ideas, and they come through like light speed.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I have so many ideas going on so fast coming through. It's like a water hose.
Right.
Just like a water hose of information.
But,
and it's cool because when I get to teach, I see all these different variations that I never even thought possible, because of as you're showing a move, all of a sudden you're realizing, and you're actually learning as you're teaching, because teaching's teaching you.
Yeah.
Not just them, but it's showing you a bunch of different ways. And then even when people mess up, you're like, oh wait, that's another variation or something that, you know, or a common mistake, or, you know. So it's interesting to see, you know, the biggest thing is relating things through a common thread. Everyone has a common thread.
Yeah.
And as a bartender, I would have like 5 guys sitting at my bar, and sometimes I didn't feel like talking to everybody. So what I do is I get their names and I get their jobs. I'd say, hey, what's your name? Where do you live? What's your job? What do you do? And they'd all tell me their names, and they'd tell me their jobs and where they lived. And then I'd figure out a story, and I'd make them intertwine all their story. Hey, this guy, he just moved in town. He's looking for a place to rent. And this guy down here, he's a real estate agent, and he loves to come here, and he loves them Bloody Marys. And this guy loves Bloody Marys too. He said the best Bloody Marys across the street. Next thing you know, I created an entire conversation amongst 5 guys because I found the common thread, and then I just walked away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, common thread is a phrase that we use in JKD over and over again. So we've been talking about etheric bodies and what have you. I mean, out of the womb, you weren't aware of this stuff. So at some point you had to become aware of it. Then you had to work on developing it. And now I would imagine you work on maintenance, correct?
Yeah, maintenance is the big thing.
Uh-huh.
That's why I just got back. That's why I just got back from Gold's Gym. The older you get, your maintenance is your conditioning, it's your strength,
Yeah.
your flexibility, your cardio, and your diet plays a huge part of that. You know, and it's weird because your body changes. Like I wake up in the morning and a lot of times I'm starving and I'm like, man, I got to eat. And so it's always like, okay, what am I going to have? Eggs again? Because I used to eat, 6 egg whites, oatmeal, an apple, and a scoop of peanut butter. And I'm like, well, I'm not fighting. Why would I be doing that?
Right.
So, it's like managing your food is really important for your digestion, and then changing. Your digestion changes when you get older. We lack digestive enzymes. Over 40, everyone should be taking essential digestive enzymes. We lack that. We lose that. Those enzymes disappear out of our body. So a lot of you guys, if you're having issues, digestive issues, or if you're having breakdown, like your muscles aren't staying strong, if you're if your muscles are getting it's also because you're not synthesizing, your body's not synthesizing the foods that you're eating, or maybe you're not eating enough protein. That's a big one too.
Right.
Maybe you're eating too many carbs, and then also, like when I got older, like over 40, I found out that I couldn't eat as much meat. I love to have a nice big juicy steak 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then I found out that, man, I couldn't take weight off because I was eating too much meat. And so I tried the other route, and I actually started craving vegetables, and I started eating a lot of vegetables. I tried to go vegan for a little while just to test it out.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of work. You just got to eat it. I was eating every 2 hours or hour and a half. I'm eating, or,
Right.
And if you want to do it right, I mean, you could starve yourself, but then your muscles dwindle to nothing.
Yeah.
And what's your food source? What's your protein source? Everyone says, oh, it's cheese. It's some people eat eggs. It's cheese. It's beans. There's a lot of things that have protein that you wouldn't realize, but you have to eat a lot higher amounts of it. So I'm eating vegetable soup, and then you got to watch the sodium intake too, because if you eat soups that are processed or good, if you have like natural soup, that's the best, but you have to put a little bit of salt in it.
Have you heard of the carnivore diet?
It's all meat?
Yeah.
No.
That's a little bit of a rage now. Jordan Peterson, the Canadian psychologist guy, he talks about it on the show with Joe Rogan. So there's
Rick Young just gave all of us. Rick Young was just here, and he videotaped a really great segment on judo. He taught some jiu-jitsu and judo. It was really spectacular. On video, he's a one-take Jake.
Yeah.
He showed some takedowns in judo, and it was so precise. I mean, what a master videographer, just like one take Jake. He just went out and he talked, and the way he explained it, and then he came back and went over it again, and I was like, wow, this is a great lesson. I just sat and watched, like, holy crap. Some really cool throws with the gi. It's funny because I know he doesn't really prefer to go standing so much. I know he doesn't try to throw people, but he has all the throws. He's a black belt in judo. He has all the throws. And then cool to watch him actually do it, because a lot of people really don't get to see him do that much of that. They see more on the ground. And then he taught a lot of cool stuff on the ground.
Did you believe in Asano when the first time you heard him say that your body changes every 5 to 10 years?
Well, no, because when he said it, I was a fighter and I was skinny and I was training my ass off and I was eating everything under the sun, every single bad thing in the world, and I was like, it can't be true. Guy goes, hey, what did you experience when you retired from fighting? What changed? I mean, what did you realize after you're done fighting? I go, I realized that food tastes good. I used to eat. Never would eat.
Yeah.
I would bartend till late, and I was like, okay, I could go get a fat burger on the corner on the way home, because that's the only place open at 2 in the morning.
Right.
Or I could have a pinch of chew tobacco starve, and go to bed. So most of the time I just did that. The fast, too fast. But yeah,
you left. So let's see if I got this right. 1976 or so, you see your first Bruce Lee movie.
that's right.
You become enthralled by Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because I trained judo in
Yeah.
4th grade,
Yeah.
and this kid was a bully, and I was at the bus stop in 6th grade, and we got into a big fight, and I told him to pick on someone his own size. So he goes, okay. So we got into a fight, and I tried to do a seonagi on the ice.
Yeah.
And he cut my hair and pulled my head back into a snowbank, and we ended up punching each other in the face. And then I grabbed his hair. He had my hair, which seemed to be a continuing issue later on in my life.
Right.
And then he goes, do you give? If you give, I give. It's like, you let go. All right, we both let go at the same time. On 3. 1, 2, 3, let go. And that was the end of the fight. And I'm like, man, I got to learn how to punch and kick.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Chuck Norris had a few things coming out, but I remember my buddy goes, hey, we should go see this movie. It's called Game of Death. And it's still in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And I went and thought, I was like, holy crap. Oh, that's what I want to learn. I want to learn that. And then it was funny because there was a private viewing. I don't even know why or how, but there was a private viewing that appeared. The private viewing appeared, and it was Enter the Dragon. And
Wow.
that's the one that got me.
Right.
That's the one. And then I went to the bookstore, and they had all the Bruce Lee books, all those fighting methods, and the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. And I read all about it, and I read the black one with the picture of Bruce on the cover, and it showed Guru's museum, or the museum that was in Torrance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked it up, and it said Dan Inosanto teaches and trains in his backyard, in his garage, in Torrance, California, and wherever he was living at the time. And I was like, I looked it up, and it said Los Angeles area. So I was like, man, I got to go to LA to learn from that guy.
Wow.
That's what and I was a young kid. I was doing karate, and then I got into boxing, and my boxing was basically challenge matches. Well, I did Golden Gloves, but in high school, everyone said, hey, I heard you got boxing gloves. I go, yeah, I got 2 pairs. And then everyone wanted to fight, and they'd come over on the week. We'd have boxing matches. And my brother figured out that we should probably ban spinning back fists, because I caught him a couple times. And he said, that's illegal. I go, it's still punching. It's still punching. And then also the hammer fist on the top of the head.
Right.
Which
is another thing that played an important role in your future.
With the hammer fist?
Yeah. Because one of my most vivid memories of training with you had to do with countering. Let's see. I forget. Oh gosh, now I forget what it was. But your simple response was to just use the hammer fist.
Countering the left hook. You cover your face, and you can doink him on the head. Called it a doink.
Yeah. You know what it was? It was against the armbar. So when you try to put the armbar on, and the guy locks his wrist.
Right.
Yeah. It was part of that too. All right. Because
the punch was legal, so you could just hammer fist their face in.
Yeah. When you got to LA, what was your first impression of Inosanto?
I was taken off and amazed at his presence. When I first met him, I met him at Dan Timlin's camp. Do you remember that camp?
Wait, well, hold on a second, because I just spoke to Bert Richardson about that. I went to 87 and 88. Were you there?
Yes. Yeah, I was there with, I was there in, no, wait. Yeah, maybe it was 86. Was it 86?
No, 86.
Yeah, I was there in 87. 1987. Dan
With-
Timlin.
With Rick and Greg?
Yes. I wasn't with them, but Rick was getting demoed out in the field by Larry, Sifu Larry.
Yeah.
Remember he was wrist locking and he had tears coming out of his eyes? Slim, we had Sealot and Slim on the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bob Carver taught. He taught a thing on kinesiology or something. And I remember I saw Bob Carver. That's where I met Bob. And I remember I had like rented gloves, rented shorts, old T-shirts. And he comes in, he unzips his bag, and he's got his own tie pads, his own focus mitts, his own tie shirts. I was like, no way. Where did you get all this? I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Yeah.
you have the nicest, wow. And I go, you're a Taekwondo black belt? He goes, yeah. And I go, how did you get into this? I mean, your timing to get in it was like perfect.
Yeah.
And it's weird, I mean, most guys have a black belt in Taekwondo or Tang Soo Do or some form of karate or something, or Ja Rasta.
So in 87, you didn't know Rick and Greg? You weren't training with them at that time?
Oh yeah, I started training with Rick. I met Rick in 1981.
Okay.
He was teaching a class in my karate school. He came in, and I watched him do stuff, and I go, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, he's got boxing. Oh, he must be a boxer." And I watched his footwork, his movement, and then watched him do some guntings. I go, "Wow, that's different. I've never seen that. That's kind of cool. What is that stuff?" And he goes, "It's called defanging the snake." And then I saw him do some trapping. I go, "Wow, what is that?" And he goes, "It's Jeet Kune Do trapping." I go, "Is that from Wing Chun?" And he goes, "Yes." And I go, "Wow, you know that stuff too?" And he goes, "Yes, and watch this." And then he pulled out collie sticks. Actually, most of the guys had kind of broomsticks or dowel rods.
Right.
I mean, in 81, and then they were doing Sinawali.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's." And he did some knife stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's into." I wasn't into weapons so much. I wanted to learn I just wanted to learn how to fight.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, and then he did some Thai boxing and some Jun Fung, and I was in the straight blast, and I was like, wow, this great combination. He did some Savat, and I was like, what is this? And he goes, Jun Fung, Jeet Kune Do. I go, is that Bruce Lee, Dan Inosanto stuff? And he goes, yeah. He goes, Dan Inosanto's my teacher. I go, no way. I quit karate the next day.
Yeah.
I quit karate. I was huge into Taekwondo because I was competing.
Right.
I was into sport karate, and I immediately just started going down to his school. And then I remember I saw Greg at his school hitting the tire with the sticks.
I remember that. Yeah.
Tire tree. And I was like, holy crap, that kid's good. He looks familiar. That kid really looks familiar. And then I saw him kicking Thai pads a little bit, and I was like, who is that kid? I know him. And then I realized that I was a gymnast, and we were competing against each other on opposite teams. I was a sophomore or junior, and he was probably a junior or senior in high school. And I remember because he was really good he had wide lats. He was super strong, and he was good on the rings. He was good on the high bar. He was good on the floor. And I was like, man, that kid's he's got a lot of power. You could tell, like, and he's small and compact and strong.
Well,
and so, yeah, it was weird. And then that's when I didn't really put it together. You know who else was there is Roy Nelson. No, not Roy Nelson. What's the jiu-jitsu guy?
Roy Harris.
Roy Harris. Sorry, Roy Harris.
Yeah.
Roy Harris was in my class at Rick Faye's. We trained together. And then I saw him years later out in California as a jiu-jitsu teacher, Vunak's jiu-jitsu guy. And I was like, really? And then I used to train with Rick Faye, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
We were in this classroom together.
Yeah.
Well, what are the odds?
That's hilarious, huh?
And there was a guy at my karate school, his name was Chad Barnes. Sonny Barnes was in the movies. Remember Sonny Barnes in Force 5 with Benny the Jet Urquidez and Benny the Jet and Sonny Barnes. And anyway, Sonny Barnes died, but he was a big martial arts guy. He was in the movies. His brother Chad Barnes was our leading ass kicker at our school. I mean, this guy,
Wow.
if there was a problem.
Yeah.
We had a guy come into it was our Christmas party, and this guy was cocky, and I remember Chad Barnes hitting a double leg and putting him through the plate glass window. Because he used to go next door to the billiards club and just beat the shit out of guys.
Right.
And so one day I'm sitting here, and these two kids come into my school, and they go, yeah, we're here to train with you. We want to do your fight practice. We want to fight for you. And I go, really? I go, what's your background? They go, wrestlers. And they go, we also do karate with this guy. I go, who's your teacher? What's his name? And he goes, his name's Chad Barnes. And I go, wait, Chad Barnes, he teaches karate? He goes, kind of kickboxing. And I go, is he a mean guy? And he goes, yeah, he's pretty mean. And I go, is he from Minnesota? I think he is. I think he's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota. And he goes, yeah, he's from Minnesota. And I go, oh my God, that guy used to kick the shit out of everybody all the time. He was a head ass kicker at our school. And then all of a sudden I'm outside a mother's market, and I meet these two girls, and I had a shirt on that said some martial arts, and they go, oh, martial arts. Oh, we do martial arts too. And I go, you do? I go, who do you do martial arts with? And the girl goes, with my dad. And I go, your dad teaches martial arts? Yeah, and kickboxing. And then the lady, which is their mom, they were both talking, and they both did martial arts. I go, well, who do you train with? And they go, oh, my husband, his name's Chad Barnes. And I was like, what in the world? What are the odds?
Yeah.
Just crazy. And you know, like, I grew up in those early karate days, so like Jeff Smith and Bill Wallace, Chuck Norris, and all those fighters.
Yeah.
Worked on Long Street and all the Midwestern fighters, Gordon Franks, and geez, just so many different guys that were so good.
Yeah.
I remember Steve Nasty Anderson and McCallum.
Rory
Just so
McCallum.
many, yeah, McCallum, and then well, there's just so many different ones. But anyways,
Yeah.
I was around back then, and that I have my first Inside Kung Fu magazine from 1974 or 5 or 6. It's crazy. I was around back then. You know, I remember when nunchucks were still like amazing.
Yeah.
One time when I was a kid, I went to church camp, and I remember our counselor. One day we were playing football or something, and the ball went flying, and he round kicked it out of the air, and I was above his head, and I go, holy crap. I go, do you do karate? He goes, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. And I go, no way. And he goes, I'll show you something later. I'll show you something later if you're interested. But I've got to show you out in the woods. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so we went out in the woods, and he pulled out some nunchucks. And he just started whipping them around. And I was like, holy crap. Where did you learn how to use those? And he goes, pretty cool, huh? And I go, yeah, let me see how you made those. And there were 2 dowel rods with, I was cutting my bike lock chains in half and getting eye holes and making them in my garage.
Yep.
Practicing. And it's funny because you got a nunchuck picture right behind you.
Well, yeah, we used to make them out of the so in Barbados, you know, in the old days there wasn't a whole lot of air conditioning, so you had these windows that you would push up, and then you'd put 2 pieces of wood to keep the windows up. Well, I stole those out of the windows, and then broke the chain from the plug for the bathroom sink. You steal that chain, and then you go to wood shop at school, and you drill holes, and you put that in there, and then you glue it at the top, and that's how you come up with your first pair of nunchaku, and then you spin and hit yourself in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Right?
Or your sack. I think I hit myself in the Cujonis like 5 times. But yeah, so this guy showed me that he came out, this counselor showed me, he goes, I'm going to show you 5 moves you need to learn. It was behind the shoulder, behind the back,
Mm-hmm.
the high to low,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to do figure 8s on my hands.
Right.
How to rotate it, hold it up and down and spin it, and then
Yeah.
go around the waist. And it was so funny. So I got really good, and then I got really good at using 2 pair.
Wow.
So there.
Yeah.
And then one time I was doing a fashion show for this company. It was on spandex tight tops and spandex pants right when they came out.
Yeah.
You know, like the yoga pants.
Uh-huh.
They're from Reebok or something. And I remember they were trying to promote it and sell it to all these health clubs. And then they had, at a nightclub, we had to do a fashion show. And they go, you're a martial arts guy, right? And I go, yeah. They go, you're going to do a kicking routine, and then you're going to use the clear plexiglass nunchucks. And I had 2. And they had lights in them too.
Yeah.
And that was 1987, 86, I think, 87.
Yeah.
Home desert.
So that's how you supported yourself when you got there and you started training within Asano?
No, I was smart. I got a job as a waiter
Mm-hmm.
and a bartender, and I got to compare the 2 side by side, and nothing compared to bartending. Bartending was the best job ever.
Okay.
You'd have to run literally 10 miles a night as a waiter to make the same amount of money you'd make as a bartender, you know, going maybe a half a mile.
Yeah. So
Just-
what
and
was your daily schedule like then? Because you weren't bartending during the day, right?
No, in the daytime, I trained. I would go to Gold's Gym.
Mm-hmm.
I'd lift weights, and then I used to teach a stretch class at Gold's. It was kind of a half yoga, half stretch class.
Okay.
And I used to do that. And then I actually would go to karate class, and I'd go to there was a boxing gym I used to go to, and then I would spar. And then in the daytime, I'd run and try to get in shape. I wanted to fight, I wanted to compete.
Yeah.
And so whenever there were karate tournaments in town, I would do karate tournaments. I'm talking 87, 88. And then I wanted to box, and then there weren't that many good kickboxers. And then I remember that's when I went to to Dan Timlin's Mid-Michigan camp.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that's when Larry threw that chair up on top of the barn. You remember that?
No, I wasn't
Oh,
around.
that was Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smoky
I never
Mountain
went to
Camp. That
Smoky
was like 80. Oh, that was great. See, for Larry, Larry got mad when he whipped a chair up on top of this really tall barn. We walked outside in the morning out of our tents, and we go, how did the chair get up on top of the barn?
Yeah. See, you just used the operative word. That's why I never went to Smoky Mountain. You got out of your tents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See.
Well, what happened is I was so excited to go to this camp. I grabbed my tent. I flew there.
Mhm.
I grabbed my tent, left my sleeping bag on board. So when I got there, I had a tent, but I had nothing. So I'm covering myself with clothes. And that year is when it rained, and I had like 3 inches of rain in my bed.
Yeah.
And we're down in the yard, and I remember just laying in my tent freezing, and I'm like, I think I'm getting wet. I'm going to get a pneumonia. I'm not going to be able to train. And then I kept hearing all these whispers, and I thought everyone was talking. And I go, who's talking? Who's up talking all night? And they go, nobody. Everyone went to sleep around, 12 o'clock after Mark McFan blew off a bunch of fireworks. Mark would always bring a bunch of firecrackers and just scare people. So,
Okay.
so I,
But I'm a little bit confused. So clarify this for me. When did you get to LA and start within Asano?
86, I went through Dan. Did my first seminar in 1988 with Sensei Yuri.
Okay.
And I was going to the Jet Center,
Okay.
driving from Palm Desert to the Jet Center.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I was driving to Redlands to Tim Tackett's garage.
Yep.
And I was able to go to Tim. He invited me to his garage with Bert Poe and this guy Sonny and Dennis Blue and
Mm-hmm.
Mark. Mark was there, Bruce Wilkerson.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And then they're like, you should go train with Guru. You know, eventually you probably want to go to the Inasano Academy and train. And then eventually I went by there and this guy goes, hey, I just stopped by. I saw that said shooting seminar. It was punching, kicking, throwing, and submission. I go, that looks interesting.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was driving to LA. I was also doing privates with the Gracies in the garage at that time.
Right.
And I got, I remember I went to my first seminar with Sensei Yuri, and then right after that, in 1990, I moved to LA. I made the choice to move to LA, and that's when I started the academy.
Okay. So all of when you moved, the intention was what? I mean, you was to compete.
No, it was school.
Okay.
School, movie work, school, and training at the Inasano Academy. Those are my three goals. I thought I was going to model and act.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to do acting and modeling. I thought I was going to go to college, finish my degree, and then also do martial arts at the Inasano Academy.
Your degree was in what? What were you studying in school?
Business, finance, and management. And then I went into like kinesiology, and then changed later to a physical therapy PT degree. And then I ended up quitting because I got a job at one of the junior colleges in Palm Desert as a PE teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And said, you have to finish your studies. So I was either going to go to UCLA, I was going to go to Northridge, or maybe Long Beach. And when I moved to LA, that's when I got involved in the fighting stuff. And then I was so busy training to fight.
Yeah.
I got involved in judo. And when I saw it, I go, man, I want to do this for real. Like, I want to fight in Japan.
Yeah.
And I remember sending a video to Sensei Sayama. And I sent like all this demo stuff that I did. And I remember I finally got a response back, and Sensei Yuri said, hey, they want you guys to come to Japan. And this was 1990, 91. And then
Yeah.
I got the invite in 90, the end of 90, or middle or end of 92. And they set it up. So I was excited to go. And I said, I'm so excited to go. I can't wait to fight a 3-round amateur match. And they go, no, you're fighting a 5-round professional match. And you got the strongest ground guy. And I was like, what? And then they go, I remember, because they go, and then you've got a training partner, you've got a guy that's going to go with you. And I go, well, who's going to go with me? I mean, who's good enough to do Shudo, you know, that's good enough, that's striking, throwing, and ground? And they go, Chad Stahelski. And I was like, well, Chad's a great kickboxer, and, you know, he's got good throws. I don't know how good his ground is, though.
Yeah.
And then that's when Chad and I started trading. He would try to knock me out, and I would just grapple with him, and there's an old tape on that. Not so much of him trying to knock me out. That was like for every fight he tried to knock me out, just to prove, you know, that I needed to work my kickboxing. But we would exchange kickboxing for grappling.
Right.
It was good.
Yeah.
We went to Japan in the early 93, and then the UFC was later in November in 93. So before the UFC, we were actually fighting in MMA.
Yeah. Now that's interesting. Why then do you think, you've probably been asked this hundreds of times, but why do you think then that shoot wrestling didn't take off in the same way that the UFC did?
I think it's because Sensei Yuri was very much into promoting Jeet Kune Do,
Okay.
and I think he kind of let me run the amateur shoot stuff.
Yeah.
And he was so involved in the Bruce Lee Museum because he had all of Bruce Lee's products, and he was, I think he was a president of the Bruce Lee Society.
Okay.
That's where him and Hiromi met. And so I think that he was so involved in that. And there's a lot of money in that. I mean, oh my gosh. Sensei Yuri's got more Bruce Lee things than you'd ever seen. I mean,
Yeah. I know, yeah.
I was just like, wow. Wow. I know he's friends with Lyndon. I'm sure that they work deals out, and he just bought a ton of stuff. I mean, as far as archive information and archive footage, I mean, video footage and posters and everything, dolls and
Right.
notes.
Yeah.
He's got all this stuff. He's probably got millions and millions of dollars worth of Bruce Lee stuff.
Yeah.
So that was his baby. He was involved in that, and Shudo was kind of a sideline thing. And it would have actually become more popular, I think, at that time than jiu-jitsu, because it was real fight.
Right.
You know, it was, you know, not that jiu-jitsu, the jiu-jitsu guys were having the volley tudo, but there were more challenge matches than anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't really so much a sport. There were more grudge matches.
Right. But because you were training with the Gracies, you were at UFC 1.
Yes, I was. I tried to fight in UFC 1, but then they said if you fight in UFC 1, you have to probably fight Hoist. And if you fight Hoist, you can never train with us again.
Yeah.
And I loved Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I was training with Hoist and Horian, and I loved it so much. I was like, there's no way I would never want to not train Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, I loved it. It was great. Fell in love with it right away.
Yeah. But didn't it take you years before you actually got a black belt in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. I was I started in 1986 in the garage, in Hoist and Horian's garage.
Right.
And I didn't get a blue belt until 1990, which was 5 years maybe, something like 4 or 5 years. And Hickson just walked by and he threw a blue belt in the air and he goes, "Who are you kidding?" And that's how I got my blue belt. And so anyways, I watched all my friends get belted. I never got belted because I was fighting.
Right.
And I remember a guy was lower belt than me and he got his purple belt. I walked in and he go, "Hey, congratulations on your purple belt." He goes, "Actually, it was for you, but you weren't here, so they gave it to me." Like, "Congratulations." I go, "That looks good on you." I don't care. I don't get jealous. It's a belt.
Right.
I didn't care about it.
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Well, where were you? Well, how come you weren't here?" And I go, "I was in Japan fighting." He goes, "Fighting? Fighting what? Karate?" And I go, "No, it's called Shudo or shoot wrestling." And I go, "It's similar to NHB." Remember they called it NHB?
Right.
Similar. It's all around fighting. It's punching, kicking, throwing, and submission. And they go, "Is that fake, like pro wrestling?" I go, "No, it's 100% real." And they go, "Really?" And he goes, "How'd you do?" I go, "I won." He goes, "Really?" He goes, "So you went in Japan and you fought the Japanese in their sport and you won." He goes, "How did you win?" I go, "I hit a reverse shoulder reverse triangle when the guy shot a double leg. I hit a judo reverse triangle." He goes, "You mean the one in the guard?" I go, "No. When you bash your knee into their shoulder when they're in the turtle position and then you step over their other arm, you dive and they fall sideways and then you figure four your leg. That's the Sonkaku." Judo, it was a judo. The guy that was doing it that I fought was an expert at that move and he used to get it on everybody. So I studied all of his tapes on his submissions and I got to learn his submission. Shot on me, I used his own move on him.
Wow.
And he didn't know how to defend it.
Right. He didn't expect that. Yeah.
And I was like, that was funny. I was like, wow. That was my first victory in Japan. But yeah, I never got a belt. And then I competed in the 1996 Pan Ams. I won my division as a blue belt. I got a gold medal. I went up against 2 Brazilians and I beat them. And then I went back, and at that time I had started with the Machados, and I went back thinking, okay, I'm sure I'll get a purple belt now. I was all excited. And the next week, nobody showed up to practice. It's because so many people competed in the Pan Ams at that time. The next week, everyone took a week off.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, what am I expecting? A new belt? Who cares? I go, I'm just going to be a blue belt the rest of my life, and I'm going to put gold all around the outside of my blue belt. I'm going to Simonize my blue belt and make the outside all gold.
Right.
And they're going to go, hey, we want to give you a new belt. And I'll say, no, thank you. I'm a golden blue belt. And that's what I used to always say. And they go, that doesn't exist. And I go, mine does. And they go, why does yours? Because I've had my blue belt for 16, almost 17 years.
Yeah.
16 years.
So,
most guys go 10 years to 12 years at the most to get a black belt. And I had remained the same belt. And everyone's like, oh, it's because you quit training. Well, wait a second. I was grappling every single day.
right.
Weekends off. But, just because I took my gi off for a few years because I was fighting didn't mean I didn't stop grappling.
Right.
I took it off and I put it back on. I was still doing privates. I would still go train in judo with Rick Young in Scotland and try to learn as much as I could. But it's like I wasn't trying to learn as many chokes as I could with the gi because of the fact that I was fighting without a gi. I needed to retain information that I could use immediately in the ring.
Yeah. What
So sometimes
who do you happen to know, because you mentioned NHB, right? Which is so difficult to pronounce. I mean, just even the acronym, it doesn't flow like MMA does because of the alliteration. Do you know who actually coined the term mixed martial arts? Do you know where that came from?
I don't. But you look at it like this. When they say it's NHB, it wasn't NHB. No holds barred. There were holds that were barred. You couldn't pull the hair. Later on, you couldn't pull. I got my hair pulled. But, later on, you weren't allowed to finger lock. You weren't allowed to put your finger in any orifice. You weren't allowed to bite. You weren't allowed to soccer kick the guy in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not NHB. There were rules.
Okay.
So, NHB, I'd call it volley tudo. That's what we used to call it.
Yeah.
That was the style from Brazil, and these guys it was all out. It was biting. A lot of the old matches were called rough and tumble, and those matches were between guys that had the rough and tumble were guys that had beefs with each other, and these guys would fight, and they said, okay, this is a rough and tumble. And so these guys would actually biting someone's nose or their cheek or their ear was part of the game, or the lip.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You get a fight and I come back and my lips bit off. Or you bit my nose off.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, how'd your fight go? I don't know. I can't smell.
All right. So,
hey, how'd your fight go? I don't know. I can't hear you. Somebody bit my ear off.
all right. So let me get a little bit technical, so to speak, with you. First things first. What is your take on Dana White infamously proclaiming Bruce Lee to be the father of mixed martial arts? What's your take on that?
He pretty much is. Am I muted?
Wait, hold on a second.
You hear me?
Okay, yeah, your mic went out for a second.
Okay. Gene LaBelle also, he fought Savage. What was it? Fred Savage, I think.
No, Milo
He had
Savage.
to fight a lot. What was his name?
Milo Savage.
Andy Savage.
No, Milo Savage.
Savage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do agree that. I'm just going to look this up real quick.
Okay.
Light bodies. How many are there? We're talking 12 stages of body ascension. So we're going back. We're going to go back real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your physical, your etheric, your spiritual. Let's see. That's funny. Second level, the etheric blueprints floods the light and releases karmic experiences. May begin to question, why am I here? Yeah, so we've got 12 different ones.
Okay.
But let's see.
Does that relate in any way to the dimensions? You know, because like we always hear about
11. I say 9, but it's 11. At least.
dimensions.
Yes. Some are totally uninhabitable. Like I think the 8th dimension is totally inhabitable.
Mm-hmm.
The dimensions sometimes are time slots apart.
Why is it that nobody ever, you only hear people talk about the third dimension. Nobody ever mentions the first. Nobody ever mentions the second.
Well, first is center Earth.
Right.
Okay, so hold on. First is center Earth. Second is the grid under the Earth. I'm sorry, under the Earth, all the rocks and the dirt. That's second dimension. Third dimension is where we sit. Fourth dimension is around the Earth. It's the grid. It's human consciousness. That's where what we try to tap into is fourth dimension when you meditate.
Yes.
Try to go into the fourth dimension, which is human consciousness. It's the consciousness grid around the Earth. Then the next is fifth dimensional consciousness is actual. It's love. It's divine. It's divine love.
Mm-hmm.
It's unconditional divine love. That's what the fifth dimension is. I'll tell you what the sixth and the other ones are. Barbara Cloud.
Barbara Han Cloud?
Do you know who she is?
Yes.
You know Barbara Cloud?
Okay, dig this. You tell me if you're familiar with these people. Barbara Han Cloud, Barbara Marciniak.
Yes.
Okay. So Bringers of the Dawn.
Yes.
Okay. Oh shoot. I forget the name, but I think the subtitle is Awakening the Divine Ka. The Pleiadian Agenda. That's it.
Yeah, that's a Marciniak, right?
Yeah. Marciniak is Bringers of the Dawn, and I think Han Clow is Pleiadian Agenda. What about The Only Planet of Choice?
I don't know. I've never heard that one.
Okay, I'll see if I can find that one for you.
Let's see. Journeys Through the Nine Dimensions. Alchemy of Nine Dimensions by Barbara Handcloud.
Yeah.
But what they talk about.
Oh, and then the other one is the Pleiadian Perspectives on Human Evolution.
No, I'm working. I'm on my podcast. You're live on TV right now.
Sorry.
Tanya's live. Go ahead, jump in. This is Tanya.
Oh, I'm gonna kill him.
Okay,
She just did her hair.
all right, so just so you know, Ms. Tanya, when I do the series on the women of Jeet Kune Do, you're in that series. So get yourself ready.
Right.
Get yourself ready. Okay?
Yes, sir. Promise.
Just break it off the sun a little bit.
He thinks I'm too fair skinned.
Well, what's going to happen
He
is
says I'm freckly.
no. What's going to happen is she's going to actually. It's going to be so you got to turn fix the light on the thing.
Go teach the kiddos now. All right.
Okay. Bye.
See you guys. You're in trouble. Bye, guys.
Hasta luego.
Okay. I still got some technical stuff for you, but you know, I don't want to take up too much more of your time.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so what is the 11th? What are the how many dimensions? So again, they're saying that there's approximately at least 11 dimensions that they know about.
Yeah.
But some are saying 9. Honey, could you shut my door, please? Thank you. 25 push-ups and 25 jumping jacks. Left the door open. You know, if you don't give people push-ups, then they just try to get away with it.
There you go.
Well, this one's pretty heavy. Yeah, about 11 dimensions. 9 dimensions. I don't know what. I have that book right here, I think. Alchemy of 9 dimensions.
Okay. See, I told you guys that you know, there was a depth to Erik Paulson. It's kind of funny because on today's the other show that I do, the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast, we were actually talking about going deep into Jeet Kune Do, the many levels and layers. And like I said earlier, you know, I want people out there to learn and know and be able to appreciate the fact that with most of the people in the JKD world, there is a depth to them that you might not find in practitioners of other martial art methods, right? So yeah, I know that some of this stuff is, let's call it esoteric, right? Or off-world or what have you. And there's gonna be somebody who watches this and goes, what the heck are these two talking about? This has nothing to do with Jeet Kune Do. And to those detractors, I remind them that that Bruce Lee's personal library was over 2,500 books. So that might clue you into something. All right, you got it?
Yeah, well, yes, I do.
Okay.
So that's the book.
All right.
And it's interesting because it talks about all the different dimensions, DNA, 7th dimension. There's meditations for each dimension that they have in here. Well, so it shows each dimension, and it doesn't really say, though, unless you really get in and read it.
Well, yeah, you'd have to.
But so there are ultra-dimensional beings that actually come in and out of our dimensions, or come into the 3rd and then leave. And a lot of times when we dream, we go into the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I like to be in the 5th dimension when we sleep. That's just completely unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's also the theta realm. You have alpha, beta, delta, theta.
Okay.
Theta is actually, I think, theta is where the dark ones can exist, and you could go there, and you can do remote viewing.
Mm-hmm.
You can, in that stage, you can check out and you can access this, the Akashic Records. Do you know about the Akashic Records?
Yeah.
The Akashic Records is basically every bleep, blunder, period, exclamation point, burp and fart that we do is all recorded.
Yes.
It's all since we've been created and brought to Earth.
Right.
Like all of who you are, all of your essences of who you are, or how many times you've been here, are all stored in your Akashic Record Bank. And so is the circle. And the karmic circle is based upon if it's spinning good or if you have some karma to burn up. So like some people will come onto Earth as a you know, maybe a kid that's handicapped and he's only here for 4 years and he's gone. And one thing I was instructed is like, because I always like to help everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This guy goes, he's a healer, and he said, Eric, he goes, you can't help everyone, and you're not supposed to. People are here, they need to struggle. It's very important that people struggle.
Right.
They have to struggle.
Right.
It's part of the, because you can't work with what they're here to do, burn off karma.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you see someone that's here that's injured, or not injured, but they're crippled, or they have whatever retardation or downs or anything, that's part of your soul purging. This is what I was told.
Mm-hmm.
Don't me. This isn't me saying. This is me repeating what I've been told.
Yeah.
He told Patrick Price. Patrick Price is a healer out of Houston, and he does cellular release on people. And he said, here's what he said. He said, it's funny because one guy I worked on used to actually be a whale in one of his past lives. And I was like, come on. And he goes, I'm telling you the truth. And he goes, if you don't believe me, watch this video. And because it was so strange, they videotaped, like they would videotape sessions.
Yeah.
So the people could watch and see it. So
yeah.
Guy was literally swimming like this through the water with his hands at his side, and he was making whale sounds. He was clicking and chirping and making whale sounds. And he said, what's your name? And he goes, Montauk.
Huh.
It was Montauk, and he had a wife and a kid, and apparently they killed him or harpooned him or something. But there's proof that, like, there's proof there that you're an animal. Either that or he was channeling a whale that came through.
Yeah.
But then the guy walked into a bar and freaked out because he saw a picture of this old Indian medicine man. The guy was like a witch doctor, medicine man. And he saw a picture of him on a wall in a bar that had all this old Western stuff. He almost had a meltdown because that was him in a past life also. But that's Patrick talking about that. And it's funny because if you look at Journey of the Soul, and if you read any of the Remarkable Healings book, Remarkable Healings is the one from Dr. Modi. It talks about, she's a hypnotherapist, and what she does is she's going in as a hypnotherapist, and she's putting people under, and she's finding out that all these people that have all these ailments and problems are being caused from entities that have gotten inside of them. And a lot of them are family members of deceased. And what they do is they get close to you because you're crying. You go, oh, I'm so sorry you left. It's so sad. And then they accidentally get stuck in you. Yeah. And so some people get all these entities in them. And then what happens is they get a demon in them. And when they get a demon in, she's finding that there's a demon in there. And the demon's controlling the entities. So now the person.
What should we do instead when somebody passes away?
Pray for them. We're going to mourn, obviously. Yeah. But I always just say, God the Father, take them where they need to go. Mm-hmm. God rest their soul, take them where he needs to go, and God bless their family also, family and friends also. That's immediately sending them to where they need to go, take them where they need to go, blessing their soul, and then blessing the family, because those are the ones that are at loss because they can't deal with it. Yeah. Hey, this guy's going home. He can go home. Right. Come from God, go to God. That's what happens. You come from God, you go to God. That's it. Right. And then this is our test. Earth is the test. They said this is the test, and this is the hard test, because a lot of the channeling sessions that they're having with some of these people, we're talking about in some of their lives, they got to go to like Jupiter and to other planets to learn information. They said the hardest place that you could go to is Earth, because of the separation from God. Because when we were brought to Earth, we immediately feel separated from God. We don't feel like he's there with us. Yeah. As a singularity, we feel separated. And so that separation, what happens is you have a divine contract that you create before you come to Earth. You sit down with your guides and angels and you decide on what you want to do with your life and the strong points and what you'd like to achieve. this is your life path, your life course. Okay, here it is. Okay, does that look good to you? You're going to be born of these parents. This is when you're going to go in. Okay, you got it. Good. This is your life quest, and good luck. And then they go boop, and they touch your head, and then they erase your memory.
Right.
After you sign your contract.
Okay.
So now you come to Earth.
Go ahead.
To Earth.
Finish up.
Forgetting.
I got to ask you something.
You come to Earth getting what your life contract was that you've created before you came down.
Mm-hmm.
You created a divine contract.
Mm-hmm.
What's your objective when you come to Earth? Because you have to have goals and objectives, and then you have to do something. Meaning you have to have purpose.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why would you come back? So here's what you need to learn. This is what you need to go through. You need to struggle. You know, look at a cocoon. Look at a larva inside of a cocoon. If you take a larva inside of a cocoon, they have to chew their ass off. They have to spit the surreptise, which is it's in their spit. It eats away at the Kevlar lining of the cocoon to get out, so they can become a beautiful butterfly. But without that struggle, they don't become a beautiful butterfly. They die in the cocoon. So you have to struggle.
So this is why training, fighting, competition is important on more than one level, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. You learn about yourself.
Right.
And then you question yourself. When you lose, that's when you go soul searching.
Yeah.
When you lose, you got to figure it out. It's time to go back inside.
Yeah.
And the first thing I know in Kabbalism, the first thing they say is if you want to find God, you got to go within first. You never search out. It's inside search. Everyone has a divine spark inside of them. You go find that divine spark and then let it blossom. And that's how it grows.
So we've been talking about some pretty heavy stuff. What happened to your comedic aspirations?
I just use it when I teach. So I was going to do all these improv classes and take these comedy courses and cold reading courses. And you need that for commercials. It's really important. You know the key to a good joke?
No.
Timing. It's timing. Everything's based on timing. But I'm looking at all these comedians that were famous, and I'm looking at them like from when they started to later on in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are very unhappy alcoholics.
Hello.
Hey, doll.
Okay.
Hey, doll. That's Swedish.
All right. So where are you now? Jeez.
I'm
Okay.
on a big fuzzy pillow.
All right. So watch this.
Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one. What is, who wrote that?
This is Phyllis Schlemmer.
Okay.
Right. And then this is one of your Los Angeles boys.
The Kabbalah is, it's pretty big. It's pretty big in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I know Madonna really got into it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the first religion. Like, it's what Adam and Eve knew, like the information that they had.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I want to show you something. What do you think of this? Sorry. Have you seen that book?
No.
By J. Just, DNA and the Sands of Time. It's really good.
Okay. All right. I'll get it. All right.
It's really good. It's thick.
Okay.
I'd like you to get the book called Remarkable Healings, or it's called, there's another one, like it's called God's Creation, and it's by Dr. Modi, and it's based off of her hypnotherapy sessions, where this is what Patrick Price does, this type of work. But what she does is she's a hypnotherapist, and she finds out that people have entities, finds the entities, finds out that they have a demon. Then she surrounds the demon. She says, "You've been discovered. I want you to look inside yourself." And what do you see? And they say, "Well, we see a spark." "What's that spark?" She goes, "Stare at the spark." And then she surrounds the demon with angels. And then all of a sudden they transform the demon back into angels, into an angel, because they're fallen angels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Transforms them back into light. And then they remember all of what their purpose originally was as an angel when they're next to God. And then they also remember when they crossed the line and followed Lucifer, and how he put them to school to teach them how to destroy humanity.
When people come to train with you, can you see what's, for lack of a different expression, can you see what's inside of them that they are trying to get out?
No, I can't see it. I look people in the eyes. The eyes are funny because the eyes hide. Usually you have to have something traumatic or something, like you got to scare people in order for their eyes to change. And then that's when you see when somebody truly has something inside of them. Almost everybody has some sort of something in them.
I think you could pull that off, because every time that I've ever been with you and you reach out and grab me, I get scared. So
At the sushi restaurant.
Well, wherever, man. I'm telling you. So all right. So let's talk Erik Paulson's life strategies. So life strategies for developing confidence. Go.
Well, I think confidence, to be confident, I think the more you do things, the more educated you get, the more life experiences you have, the more confident you become in things. I also think that confidence has to do with the believing in yourself and living through experience. Life lessons are lived by learning.
Okay.
So by learning through what you've done gives you experience, and the more experience you have, the more confident you become because you've already been there.
All right. Life strategies for developing discipline.
Discipline is showing up.
Huh.
Just showing up. That's
okay. Life strategies for developing awareness.
Awareness is, I like to be hyper aware. Even when I sleep, I'm aware. Weird, like when someone's going to walk into my room, I can feel them walking to the door. I can feel them touch the door and open the door, and I'm up in literally less than a second if I have to get up.
Okay.
So awareness is just being hyper aware, being aware of everything going on around you, feeling energy. You can feel energy. You can feel when it's flowing. You could feel when it's stagnant.
Yeah.
Stagnant energy usually is either a person or possibly a deceased.
Okay. Life strategies for developing balance, because I think that you would agree that you may not have always been a particularly balanced individual. So,
okay. So here, I wrote 4 things. And here's what happens as a martial artist. We easily get out of balance by putting martial arts before we put our family. We put martial arts before we put our job. We put martial arts before we pray or believe in God. So I believe it starts like this. Number 1, where did you come from and where are you going to go? Who are you inevitably going to end up seeing again? The Creator, probably. So that's number 1. Number 2 is your family. But that could also be number 1 because your importance of your family on earth. Don't deny your family.
right.
Family is very, very important. Then is your job. How do you support yourself? If you don't support yourself, you can't live. I don't understand when people don't have jobs. I just don't understand it. I don't understand when people say, yeah, I can barely eat. And I'm like, well, do you have a job? Well, I do privates when I can. It's like, no, you need secure income. How are you going to keep the electricity on? How are you going to pay your electric bills? How do you pay rent? How do you pay for your insurance and your gasoline? How do you put food in your mouth?
Mm-hmm.
And then to have somebody else that you got to take care of on top of it, where's your money coming from? You have to be a responsible adult and get a job. And it doesn't matter. And don't be too, I don't want to take a job at, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what happened to me? This is funny. Tanya and I were in line at the airport, and I was really hungry in the morning. The only place to get food, aside from a granola bar, was McDonald's. So I said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to get a filet of fish sandwich, which apparently is not the healthiest thing you can order, but with the grease, it'll probably last all day and your stomach won't be hungry. So I was standing in line, and she goes, download the app and you can actually order. By the time we got up to the front, it'll already be done. So I downloaded the app for McDonald's, and I didn't realize it, but I actually applied for a job. I had all these McDonald's trying to hire me. I downloaded an application.
Yeah.
And I filled it out, and they said, is it okay that we share this? You know, I'm getting called from all these different companies are sending me emails. We want to hire you. You're more than qualified. Here we have 18 to 25 an hour jobs lined up waiting for you. And I'm like, man, I didn't even try to get a job, and I got like 40 places trying to hire me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I don't understand what he says, you know, I'm broke, I don't have any money. How hard it would be to hustle. I have always had 2 jobs. You know, and the older you get, this guy said, if you really want to make it and get by, you got to have especially living in California or living in LA, you have to have at least 5 to 6 jobs. Mm-hmm. And some of those should be passive income. Mm-hmm. You know, writing a book, you could call you're a writer, you write books. Those books are passive income. You shot a DVD and you sell your DVD online, that's passive income. That's a job. That's still work. That's work. That's money coming to you. Yeah. What else? You could do private lessons. You could open a school. You could teach classes. You could do seminars. You could maybe do fitness. You could go to a local gym and teach a cardio kickboxing class, which empowers a ton of women. That alone is a very empowering job. And don't be too like, I only want to teach fighting. It's like, screw that, man. Right. Train the people who are going to pay you. Train the people that are out of shape. They'll love you forever because you're changing their life. You've completely changed and transformed their life. You possibly take them off a suicide watch. These people believe in themselves. You've made them lose a lot of weight. They love you, and they'll pay you whatever you ask them to pay you. Yeah. Now you decide that you want to start training fighters. Well, good luck paying rent, because most guys go, I want to fight. And it's like, but I don't have a job. I can't afford to pay for classes, but I want to fight. Yeah. It's like, okay, well, you know, how am I supposed to keep my electricity and my water and my pay my rent at this place if I can't charge any money? Right. And it's funny because guys go, I don't like the way he coaches. I'm going to open my own gym. Have at it. Good luck. Actually, I welcome you to do that because you think it's so easy to go down the road and open your own school. You know how hard it is to find a space, and then you got to find out that you got to pay rent. Yeah. So you're going to invite all your buddies, right? I'm going to invite all my buddies. I got all my buddies. I'm going to train. Yeah, they're not going to be your buddies when you decide you got to charge them. Right. They go, what? I have to pay? How much? Yeah.
Two things that came out of that for me. Did you ever resist the idea of opening up a school?
No.
So you always intended to do that.
Well, after I was done fighting, I said, if I'm in LA, I train at the Ascension Academy and I train jiu-jitsu. When I am out of it, if I move out of LA, I'm going to open my own school. That's what my thought was. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Guru's like, Guru goes, you can stay upstairs at my school. And I was like, no offense. I mean, that ultimately that would be the ultimate lifestyle, but I had to grow up, you know. It's like, well, how could I ever have a secure relationship with a girl if I lived upstairs at the academy and
Yeah.
you know, and just
Okay.
you know, just carried bags all the time. Which I loved. I mean, for me, I would, if I could just still carry Guru's bags and hang out with him even one time a month or one time every 2 months, I'd do it in a second.
Yeah. So
Just so I could spend time with him.
I have an old girlfriend that says that she left me because when we were dating, she was number 3 in my life, behind Eastern Airlines, number 2, and behind Jeet Kune Do, number 1. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong?
Well, obviously, when you have a relationship with a woman, they want to feel like they're number 1, their top priority, and that's important. So like for most people that aren't religious, that don't have any faith. Listen, you don't have to go to church to be religious. All you have to do is bow your head, go out in the grass and wherever you're at and bow your head and say, thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and I love you. That's it, 4 things.
Yeah.
Bow your head and say, I'm sorry. Everyone does things wrong. Say, I'm sorry. Humble yourself. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. That's it. Say that. How about that's good enough. Anyways, go back to your relationship. A woman wants to feel number 1 in your life. So she's got to understand that your job is how you make a living. So if that is their competition, I mean, that's your passion, not only your passion, but it's your job. So she needs to understand, but is there a way to include her into the martial arts program? I mean, well, Tanya.
I mean, I mentioned Eastern Airlines, so this was way back in the 90s. So, you know, nothing, not to worry about. But you met the other thing that came up. Say what?
What was the letter of her first name?
The letter of her first name, D.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, you just said something about some guy saying, I don't like how he coaches. What is the greatest criticism of you that you've ever heard?
My jokes aren't funny.
What's the greatest compliment you've ever heard?
You're a genius.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess some guys, I always ask my guys, because in class I try to give them a lot of information, but I also, one of the biggest things that people were saying is I didn't give them enough roll time. But, you know, that's all we used to do. Also, is in the beginning, we just would roll and roll and roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you guys want to learn some technique now? They go, yeah, please. So, you know, finding the happy medium between what's enough, what's not enough, what's too much, how much of your training should be 100%, or how much of your training should be physical versus technical.
Yeah.
Skill set versus straight full on going hard.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the night people, they come to your gym because they like the fitness aspect and they like to learn a couple things. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just make them roll for 1 hour. And this guy goes, hey, are we going to learn anything today? Or I go, you are learning. It's called self-discovery. Self-discovery means you get tapped out or you get caught and then you figure it out. That's self-discovery. You're failing and you're getting tapped out, and so you're learning by tapping out.
What
or you're, gosh, I'm running out of air. So self-discovery is learning that you need to go and run when you're done. Put your shoes on and hit, go hit the pavement.
What if one of these armchair Jeet Kune Do experts was to say, oh, well, Erik Paulson, an MMA guy. He's not a real Jeet Kune Do guy. What would be your response to that critique?
What is Jeet Kune Do?
Ah,
MMA is Jeet Kune Do. But so there's no trapping, and MMA. So JKD was trapping, kickboxing, trapping, and grappling. That sounds to me pretty much like MMA.
right. Yeah.
Turns into a sport, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to tell me that an MMA guy can't fight in the street.
It's ridiculous.
Because you have, 3 easy aspects to deal with. So MMA is more sport based, so it's more competition and more sparring, and look at all the old guys. They used to spar all the time. Chinatown, they used to all spar.
That was it.
But it's all different, and the guy's like, oh. So here's the other thing. It's like, okay, so you're defining, you're trying to say, oh, it's not Jeet Kune Do or whatever. It's like, okay, so what are you training for? Like the ultimate street fight that may or may not ever happen?
Right.
And who you're going to fight a white belt. Chances are you're going to fight a white belt with a big mouth and a belly full of beer. Or a truck driver who's pissed off that would rather kick your ass and eat his meal.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the guy I want to hear about. I want to hear about that guy that you fought. Who cares about you fought a mouthy little college kid and you eye jabbed him and he went down and you're like, oh my God, I eye jabbed this guy and he went down. It's amazing. My Buji's amazing. Or I throat chopped him or I nut kicked him. It's like, yeah, okay. It's called taking liberties. So challenge yourself and put some light equipment on, light shin guards, a cup and a mouthpiece, little gloves with padding, and spar. Ding, ding. What I started doing in my MMA classes, I'd make them go face to face.
Mm-hmm.
So they're about, 6 inches apart. And I go, go! And I yell, go. And then it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Is the guy going to drop and punch? Is the guy going to do it? Or is he going to back up and kick?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Or you go T formation. And you go T formation. So you got one guy sideways at a right angle or square angle.
Okay.
And then go ready, go. And then they have to fight from right there.
Yeah.
Or you go back to back, or you sit in a chair, or you're on the ground and one guy's standing above you. Ready, go. That's a fun one too.
All right. I learned the phrase high percentage technique from you, right? Your go-to stuff. What I wanted to know was, how does something become a go-to? I mean, do you see it, you like it, and you think, okay, this could become one of my high percentage things? What's the process behind that?
The high percentage is usually because it's something that you use on people regularly during sparring or rolling or grappling or takedowns. So if you ask me what my high percentage takedown would be, my go-to, my high percentage, I would tie you up into 50-50 and I would hit a whizzer and a foot trip at the same time and I would put you on your face. So that's my go-to.
But how did it become the go-to? That's what I'm trying to determine.
From sparring so many people and having it work so many times on so many people. If I try to use a move and it may or may not work, why would I use it?
Right.
I have a 50% chance of winning or 50% chance of losing.
Right.
So for me, I look at it like this. I know when I get on the ground, I can submit most people. So why would I stay standing and go slugging with somebody when I have a 50% chance of hitting them and they have a 50% chance of hitting me? That's high percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I body lock somebody, my chances of taking them down are very high. It's a foot sweep or a club down or whatever, or inside leg. And then I know for sure when we hit the ground, my odds of submitting somebody are very high. So, or choking them or whatever. So why wouldn't I use that? Right. And the most humane way to win a fight is a choke. What's he going to do? He's going to sue you for choking him out. Prove it. Where's your bruises? Unless you're on video.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's today you're on video everywhere. Everybody, all these guys are like, oh my God, look at that guy. He's about to die. He's about to fall off that cliff. And they're videotaping him.
Right.
Instead of putting my hand out.
Yeah. All right. So on the, how should I put this? Where would you say you are on the path to enlightenment?
Truth is obviously what you make it, but I have something I do every day. I meditate every single day. I go out in the lawn and I meditate, or I find a place to meditate. And if there's a day where I'm so busy and consumed, I feel out of whack, that's usually because I miss my meditation. Meditation is just putting yourself in divine alignment, centered, aligned, and balanced.
Yeah.
So by grounding myself every day, I can have a clear path of what I'm supposed to do. I always call upon presence of God the Father. I always call upon my holy guardian angels and the archangels for protection. I do a prayer before I get in my car, and I do a prayer before I drive my motorcycle. Every time I get on my bike, I have a prayer that I do every single time. Knock on wood. Almost 14 years since that was me. 14 years since I've learned this prayer and done it, that I've never gotten in an accident, or I've never gotten in an accident, or I've never got a ticket. 14 years straight. And it was given to me by a lady who actually, I was working at a chapel where she was an exorcist, and it was a spiritual experience. I worked there, and this lady said, hey, I got a message for you today. I got a prayer for you. And I go, oh, you got a prayer for me? Where'd that come from? She goes, I got a message from God the Father. That's what she said to me. She said, it's a message for you, and this is your prayer. She gave it to me, and ever since I've done it, I've never gotten an accident. I've never got a ticket or an accident since then.
All right.
That's pretty good, because I used to get tickets all the time.
Yeah.
So I get my fighters, they come to the school and they're like, I got a ticket. And I'm like, I actually wrote it down, and I put it on a little card, and I said, this goes on your dashboard. This goes on right by your speedometer. And you're going to recite that as soon as you get in your car. Put it on your rear view mirror, wherever you got to put it, but you got to recite that before you get in your car. And it works all the time.
Wow. See, that's the aspect of you that I think a lot of people, except probably the ones who spend a lot of time with you, might not have been aware of. So the last thing I want to do, well, two things. One, I want to test not your memory, but we talked about first impressions earlier. So I want to mention some of the old timer JKD people, and then I want to ask you who else you think I should try to get on the dialogue show so that I can do this with them. So your first impressions, memories, or whatever of Jeff Imada.
I was impressed because he was a stuntman and an actor, and I saw him in Big Trouble in Little China, and I saw him in all the books, all the old Jeet Kune Do books that I bought before I came to LA to seek out Guru.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I actually saw him and Chris Nuds, right? Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything. Those who know will know why I'm laughing.
But
right.
So when I saw him, I was like, holy crap. When
Yeah.
I met Cass, same thing. But it's funny, Cass, I'm not even going to talk.
Okay.
I was telling Cass about Herman Sawanda. I said, hey, because he was doing the Silat.
Yeah.
And he was doing it with Pendecker Paul, God rest his soul.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one day I said, hey, I was in class. I was one of the Silat students. the Saturday class. And Guru Louis was there, Marcel.
Oh no, not now. Okay, guys. So Erik's phone died right when we got to talking about the old school JKD guys. So I'll wrap this up. He did send me a message saying that he had a great time, and he asked that I ask everyone on his behalf to pray for everybody on the East Coast who might be affected by the hurricane activity. And I was going to ask him to recommend some other people for the dialogue show, but as I've said, I'll tell you one last time. This coming Friday, we have Greg Nelson, so we'll have some more fantastic Jeet Kune Do stories. And then on Monday, we'll have Rick Fay. So for the next couple of dialogue episodes, we'll be rocking and rolling. So that's it for episode number 21 with Erik Paulson. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing off. I'll see you guys around next time.